What does a game producer do? Exactly. How do you best manage a game development project? And what impact does your process have on the final product? All of these questions and more will be answered at the GAME Developers Conference later this month, which, in addition to a full week of great content, boasts an entire day dedicated to helping video game producers hone their craft. It's called the Game Producer Bootcamp, a full day of talks and discussion that brings together experts and colleagues to discuss best practices in production and team management, as well as share their career experiences. For example, as part of the bootcamp Facebook group Tom and you will present What the Heck is Process? A production team management tech talk, all about what producers do and how the project management process affects dev teams. Tom will tackle a common query. How do you, the producer, make sure the critical features get done, that the final game lives up to the design vision, and that your team does work they are proud of without burning out? The answer is process. But if you do not know what the heck process is, that answer does not help you. This talk will explain what process is, what it's for, and how you can use it to make sure your game gets done. You can find full details on this talk and many more over ONTH GDC 2019 session scheduler. There you can begin to lay out your GD 2019, which takes place March 18th through the 22nd at the newly renovated Moscone Center in San Francisco. Bring your team to GD, register a group of 10 or more and save 10% on conference passes. Learn more. For more details on GDC 2019 visit the show's official website, or subscribe to regular updates via Facebook, Twitter, OS. Gamasutra and GD are sibling organizations under parent company Informa. Pathia Games, developer behind the role-playing game My Time at Potion, has come under fire over reportedly withholding payments to their voice actors for several months. Although seemingly resolved at this point, this is still important to highlight, especially since developers, both big and small, should pay their workers and contractors a fair, agreed upon rate in a timely manner. The problem seems to back as far as October 2018, where the treatment of My Time at Potion's voice actors was detailed in a Steam thread, which has since been locked. Most of the issues seem to revolve around compensation, with the author of the post writing, our voice actors were reportedly being paid only $50 for 100 plus lines of voiced dialogue. A handful of voice actors took to Twitter to express their dismay over how Pathia Games has handled the situation thus far. As of January 19th, My Time at Potion is at number 1 in the Steam Global Top Sellers list, leading men to wonder if the sales from those copies sold are finally being used to pay contractors. Pathia Games has put out a statement over the issue as well, explaining how it was an oversight issued with one of our designers, although it's unclear if that means that designer forgot about the voice actors, or they did not oversee the actors properly. Cannot write that long comment here on Twitter, so please see the content in the picture below. For the voice acting issue, we are facing MYTIMEATPORT at a peak. Twitter, Comos0 with all the games I have played via Game Wisdom, and studying for my books on game design, I have picked up a lot in terms of game design philosophy. For today's post, we are going back to basics and discussing how every video game era made falls into one of two schools of design. Mechanical gameplay is best used when you want the player to experience a set event, or handle a specific challenge, Older forms of this design were featured heavily in early video games and arcade games. Classic games would frequently make use of event triggers and timers in order to make sure that everything would happen the same way every time. We have spoken about casual games in the past, and how they are examples of mechanical gameplay taken to the extreme. What we have not yet talked about is how this trend still exists in modern titles, albeit in smaller doses. Whenever you have a scripted event, a situation with a fixed outcome, at any time where the player's interaction does not matter, that would be an example of mechanical gameplay. Many AAA games today feature bombastic set pieces, such as the Tomb Raider and Uncharted series, where everything is happening around the player, and all they are doing is pressing forward and jumping. Titles that feature set puzzles would also be an example of mechanical gameplay. Be it puzzle games or puzzles in another genre, the key element here is that the design of the game only allows for one way to succeed, or having one best way that works every time. Anyone who has watched the speedrunners can see how classic games can be broken down by their set elements to find the best path through, due to the fixed nature of timers and patterns. Many classic games can be played with tool-assisted speedrun programs, attacks. There is nothing inherently good or bad about this kind of design. If you want the player to do something specific, or get a certain reaction out of them, mechanical gameplay allows the designer to control the game space and play. With that said, as more developers embrace roguelike design and replayability, we saw a second kind of gameplay appear. Games that introduce random elements cannot be 100% predicted, and it goes to the player to figure out how to react and adapt. Reactionary gameplay refers to titles that cannot be played the same way every time for different reasons. Maybe the game procedurally generates the game space, or all equipment is randomly given to the player, or enemies do not have the same fixed pattern. Whenever the game features elements that are not set in stone, the player will have to make judgment calls at a moment's notice. One of the best examples of this kind of gameplay is the evolution of the action genre with random pattern design. Action titles for the longest time featured fixed patterns, where bosses and enemies would do the same thing every time. This led to battles being mechanical, and in some cases, you could only beat the boss by doing one thing over and over again. Random pattern design means that the enemy decides what attack to use, based on their pool of attacks, defined by the developer. As the player, you may know what to expect, but you have no idea what attacks the enemy will use at any time. Recent hits like Souls-likes, Neo, and most likely Sekiro Shadows Die Twice are perfect examples. The roguelike genre at its best can also fit here, as the player must be constantly reacting to every room, every item drop, and so on down the line. This is also the reason for the high replayability, as every run is a different experience to challenge the player. Reactionary gameplay is arguably a lot harder to balance compared to mechanical. As the developer, you do not have complete control over the experience. Some players may have an easy time, others may become frustrated. Giving up that control also makes it harder to focus on a set story and narrative, as the game is supposed to be something that can be replayed many times. Both have their place when it comes to designing a video game, but is one better than the other? Both mechanical and reactionary gameplay have their places in today's market, and it's better to figure out what your game is going to be as early as possible. Similar to our talks on action and abstracted gameplay, you need to be really careful when it comes to mixing gameplay types. Games that are meant to have replayable elements can be hurt if there are too many set experiences in them. Likewise, building your game around guiding the player through it, and then just throwing them to the wolves, may frustrate players who were not expecting it. An interesting combination of the two would be the jerk genre. Many jerks feature very rigid stories and situations, but allow the player control over their party's builds, skills, etc. You still need to be careful, though, when it comes to balancing choices for encounters. A famous design trick of the jerk genre is giving the player all manner of status-affecting skills, but rendering them useless for any boss encounter. Conversely, we have seen CRPGs, RWPGs,